Dr. Tart Jensen, and I would like to welcome you to my presentation today. I have done iridology and nutrition for 30 years or more. I studied with Dr. Tart Jensen. He was my teacher and then became my father-in-law. And I've also studied all over the world, including clinics in Europe and in Switzerland. And I've traveled all over the world for many years teaching about health, iridology, and nutrition. So because of our times, I really wanted to focus on building immunity and mastering dis-ease with iridology and natural therapies today. I dedicate this talk to my beloved teacher and father-in-law, Dr. Tart Jensen. This sign was made for Dr. Jensen by one of his patients, and that's me standing in front of the sign. It says, "Hunger is cured by food, ignorance by study. You're looking for a good doctor. I'm looking for a good patient." And we all know that if we're going to do natural therapies, we're going to need to do them and work on ourselves. It's not just a magic pill. Dr. Jensen dedicated 70 years of his life to the field of iridology, nutrition, cleansing, and building the immune system. So understanding the immune system. Where is the immune system in the body? The immune system is in our thymus gland, which is in the middle of our chest. If you kind of tap your thymus every day, that helps to activate it. It forms T cells. Our tonsils and adenoids are located in our throats, and they distinguish invaders for destruction. And the spleen is on the left side of our bodies, and it filters blood and distributes T and B cells. Our lymph glands are very important, and they store white blood cells, and they form white blood cells. The bone marrow in the bones forms B cells, and those are very important fighter cells. So here we see our immune system, our tonsils and adenoids in our throats, our thymus, our spleen on the left side. Our lymph nodes are located in our joints, and that's why when we exercise, we pump and move the lymph. The appendix is an important immune stimulant, and it is at the end of the cecum, right there on the lower right side of your body. And then inside of our bones is our bone marrow. Now, some people aren't aware of the Peyer's patches. These are lymph nodes inside of our intestinal tract that are very important for immunity. Every inch of our body is protected by our immune system. The skin contains fighter cells, including T cells, B cells, NK cells, and mast cells. The skin is our largest organ of immunity and elimination of toxins. So the skin in the iris is located in zone 7. This is my iridology chart, and I have it color-coded so we can see the skin in the very outer ring. And when we see an iris that's very dark in the very outer ring, we want to work with them on improving the quality of their skin. The sinuses, tonsils, adenoids, and ear canals trap bacteria and carry important antibodies, immunoglobulins that kill germs, protecting the throat and the lungs. So some people don't realize that the ear canal connects directly to the sinuses. So if you constantly have sinus infections, you may have ringing in your ears or a buildup of ear wax. And then the tonsils also trap bacteria. So that's why it's important for children to keep their tonsils and adenoids. So in the iridology chart, we can see the tonsils here in the sinuses. We can see the tonsils, the ear, outer ear, middle ear, inner ear, the lung area. So we can see that on both sides. The bone marrow provides some very important fighter cells called B lymphocytes, T lymphocytes, and macrophages. And these are made inside of our bone marrow. T cells mature in the thymus gland, which is here in the middle of the chest, and B cells and T cells migrate to the lymph nodes, which are located in our joints, spleen, and tissues of the body. If infection develops, lymphocytes attack and destroy bacteria and viruses. Macrophages engulf and digest them and release them as harmless waste. The lymph system is very, very important for our immune system. And we can see we have lymph fluid throughout the entire body. And it flows underneath the skin. And our lymph nodes are located along our joints. The lymph is a clear fluid that carries lymphocytes. It bathes the eyes, flows underneath the skin, and lines the joints and intestinal tract. Where is the lymph located when we look in our iris? We see the lymph area in zone 6. The light blue is where we see the lymph. We also see a little bit around here in zone 3. Lymph nodes are near our joints and in our breasts and filter lymph fluid, trapping bacteria, viruses, and other foreign substances, which are then destroyed by the lymphocytes that stay in the fluid and macrophages that work in the tissues. So this is why it's very important for women to, when they walk, swing their arms, and men, because the breasts of men and women are full of lymph nodes, and when they get infected, can end up leading to breast lumps and breast tumors. Swollen lymph nodes is when there's a lot of bacteria in those areas and they can become very sore. So the lymph system, if you look in an iris, can look like this. We call these bundles the lymphatic rosary, which goes around in zone number 6. And when there's more chronicity, it's dark yellow and it's smeared like this. The spleen filters the blood by removing old or damaged blood cells and platelets and helps the immune system by destroying bacteria and other foreign substances. So the spleen is on the left side of the body, so we only see it displayed in the left iris. The blood carries immune fighters that are produced in the bone marrow called eosinophils, neutrophils, and basophils. Eosinophils help fight against parasites. So if you look at a blood test and the eosinophil level is high, they likely have parasite activity in the body. If the neutrophils and basophils are high on a blood test, they likely have a fungus the body is fighting, bacteria and viruses. And the blood zone of the iris is located right here in the dark pink, zone number 3. So a huge part of our immune system, and this is where Dr. Tart Jensen was a master, and he taught me for many years, was about our intestinal tract. We have about 25 feet of large intestine, small intestine, and 5 to 6 feet of large intestine. And these points connect through neural-arc reflexes to all parts of the body. So when our colon is toxic, across the top especially, we can have brain fog, we can have depression, because the top connects to the brain area. So because it's very important that the immune system establish and maintain a strong presence at this mucosal tissue in the gut, between the gut and the rest of the body, we need to really work on cleansing and getting rid of toxic pathogenic microorganisms. The digestive tube is loaded with lymphocytes, macrophages, and other cells that participate in the immune response and fight for us. Every tissue is fed by the bloodstream. which is supplied by the intestines. When the intestines are dirty or toxic, so are the organs and tissues. It is the intestines that must be cared for first. And that was stated by Dr. Tart Jensen in his book, Tissue Cleansing Through Bowel Management, and his book, Better Bowel Care. When the bowel is clean and healthy, the blood that flows through it and out to all the organs, tissues, and cells will be clean. When the bowel is leaky, toxic, and inflamed, the blood and lymph will carry toxins from the bowel to all parts of the body. Blood carries oxygen and nutrients into and away from the intestines through all these tiny thousands of villi. They're like little hairs that line the intestinal tract. So over time, if people eat a lot of toxic fried foods, a lot of gluten, pasteurized cow dairy, sugar, white flour, all these sticky foods can end up pasting down these villi. Now, Tart Jensen, we did a lot of cleansing at the Hidden Valley Health Ranch, and these were some pictures of what came out of people's bowels, and when they came out, they felt ever so much better. A huge part of our immune system is in our intestinal tract. Aside from all of its other functions, the gastrointestinal tract is a lymphatic organ, and the lymphoid tissue within it is collectively referred to as the gut-associated lymphoid tissue, or the GALT. The number of lymphocytes or fighter cells in the GALT is roughly equivalent to those in the spleen. Those fighter cells live in an important area of the intestinal tract called the Peyer's patches. The Peyer's patches are very similar to lymph nodes and are located in the small intestine. In adults, B lymphocytes predominate in Peyer's patches. Smaller lymph nodes with fighter cells can be found throughout the intestinal tract. So the Peyer's patches in the iridology chart are located here in the small intestines in both the right and left iris in zone number 2. Most of the lymphocytes in the gut mucosa are called IgA secreting B cells. The IgA is transported through the epithelial cells in the gut, where it protects from the invasion of bacteria. So you can have an IgA blood test to find out if it's elevated, showing inflammation in the gut area. There are lymphocytes that fight for us inside the epithelium wall of the intestines as well. T cells also exist in the gut and fight bacteria and viruses. 80% of our immune system is in and around our digestive tract. 80%. That's very important to remember. That's why it's so important, the foods that we put into our body. In addition to the lymphocytes, T cells, and B cells, 75 to 80% of the friendly bacteria in our bodies live in and around the gut. These are our forgotten soldiers that fight bacteria, viruses, and funguses. And this is why when you go and get antibiotics, many of these friendly bacteria are killed, and that's why we end up with really bad yeast infections. To put this into perspective, our bodies are made of 90% of bacteria and 10% genes. And 75 to 80% of that bacteria live in our intestines, and we want that to be friendly bacteria. So, signs that our immune system is out of balance. If you have food allergies or seasonal allergies affecting your sinuses, if you have aching all over, chronic inflammation, if you have skin problems, boils, chronic fungus, eczema, psoriasis, chronic sinusitis, chronic colds that last a long time, frequent pneumonia, frequent respiratory and stomach flu that lasts a long time, autoimmune disorders such as lupus, Crohn's disease, rheumatoid arthritis, irritable bowel disease, Hashimoto's, Graves' disease, vasculitis, multiple sclerosis, Guillain-Barré. All of these show the immune system is out of order. So we're going to look at some immune markers in the blood, because many of our naturopaths are looking at blood work now, and they should. And even if they don't call for the blood work, they can ask the patient to go to the doctor and get blood work, or if your patient brings you blood work, you want to know how to read it. So we want to look at immune markers. The white blood cells are our fighter cells, and it should be between 5 and 7. When it's really high, that means there's acute bacterial or viral infection. When it's really low, there's chronic bacterial or viral infection or autoimmune concerns. The neutrophils are fighter cells, 40 to 60%. High and low is chronic viral infection. The lymphocytes, 24 to 44%. High acute and chronic viral infections can be mononucleosis, which is caused by the Epstein-Barr virus, inflammation. Low chronic and acute viral and bacterial infections suppress bone marrow function. The monocytes, when they're high, recovery phase of infection, liver dysfunction, intestinal parasites. When they're low, usually that person's been on chemotherapy that suppresses bone marrow function. The eosinophils, when they're high, intestinal parasites, food and environmental allergies or asthma. When they're low, excessive alcohol, excess production of cortisol, or aplastic anemia. When the basophils are high, inflammation in the tissues or intestinal parasites, low infection, severe allergies, or an overactive thyroid. The IgA, IgG, IgM, IgD, and IgE are important immunoglobulins that are in our body. They are antibodies. And these immunoglobulins are proteins that your immune cells make to fight off viruses, bacteria, and other harmful invaders, such as parasites. The immunoglobulin test can show whether there's an imbalance in your immune system. Too few immunoglobulins in your blood gives you a greater chance of getting infections. Too many could mean that you have allergies or an overactive immune system where they're fighting constantly all the time. Immunoglobulin A, or IgA antibodies, are found in the mucous membranes of the sinuses, lungs, stomach, and intestines. They're also in fluids of these membranes, including blood, saliva, and tears. In normal serum, it's 15%. Elevated IgA can mean there's an allergy or an autoimmune disorder or multiple myeloma, which is a type of bone cancer. A low IgA may mean a bacterial infection, pain, and fever. So there are normal ranges of IgA. For 0 to 1 year, it's 1 to 83, 1 to 5, 20 to 152. And it goes on down to older than 18 years, 60 to 400. IgG is the most common type of antibody in your blood and other body fluids. These antibodies protect you against infection by remembering which germs you've been exposed to before. In normal serum, it should be 80%. If those germs come back, your immune system recognizes them and will attack them. An IgG test helps us to figure out whether you've been infected by certain kinds of viruses or bacteria. These are IgG reference ranges, 0 to 5, 100 through 334, all the way up to 16 to 18 years, 487 to 1,327, and above 18 years, 767 to 1,590. So these immune markers, when you look at the blood work, it will show a range. So if they're elevated, you know that there is some infection going on or allergies. Immunoglobulin M. Your body makes IgM antibodies when you are first infected with new germs or bacteria. In normal serum, 5% is IgM. They are your body's first line of defense against infections. When your body senses an invader, your IgM level will rise in order to fight the invader for a short time. It will then begin to drop as your IgG levels kicks in and increases to protect you for long term. So the IgM ranges from 26 to 122 in a little baby, all the way up to above 18 years, 37 to 286. So you can see the ranges when you get the blood work back. The main thing is to know what it means. So immunoglobulin D in normal serum is 0.2%. It's mostly found on the surface of immune B cells where it helps regulate B cell function. IgD also activates certain immune cells. The IgD blood test helps determine the level of IgD in the blood, and it helps diagnose myelomas and immune deficiencies. The reference range for IgD should be less than 10%. So IgE antibodies, when it overacts to substances that aren't harmful, such as dust, pet, dander, or pollen. IgE levels can be tested in the blood if one has allergies. In normal serum, a trace is IgE. So IgE, we want to look for if there are, problems with dust, pet dander, or pollen. Lower than 13 with a tiny baby, and lower than 214 if you're above 18 years old. So reasons for the immunoglobulin tests: if there are frequent infections, especially in the sinuses, lungs, stomach, intestines, continuous diarrhea that doesn't go away, unexplained weight loss, fevers that can't be explained by another cause, skin rashes, allergies, sickness after traveling, HIV, AIDS, multiple myeloma, cancer of the bone marrow, autoimmune disorders such as lupus or rheumatoid arthritis, hepatitis, or liver cirrhosis. So other reasons for chronic immune disorders: chronic or long-term stress or fear. So that's very important to remember, to work on relaxed breathing and being at peace. Poor nutrition, chlorine and fluorine in the water, genetically modified organisms, preservatives, not being nursed as a baby upsets your immunity. Tooth decay sends poison into your body. Mercury fillings, vaccinations that have mercury, lead, aluminum in them. Severe constipation, leaky gut, viruses or parasites that have disturbed the liver pathways and digestion. So inflammation and toxicity in the gut: when toxins bombard the lining of the intestinal tract over and over, friendly fighting bacteria are killed and parasites and yeast called candida form, creating holes in the gut, and that's what causes leaky gut. Too much wheat eaten over time pastes down the tiny villi so they can no longer absorb nutrients. The immune system goes on alert and begins attacking any irritants such as gluten, sugar, soy, corn, peanuts, eggs, as well as pollens and dust. So basically, when people have allergies, they should go free of all these foods for 7 days and see how I'm sure they would feel a lot better. Inflammation then spreads to the weaker areas of the body, such as the joints, sinuses, ears, eyes, throat, brain, and skin. Itis means inflammation. such as rhinitis, which is your sinuses, arthritis for your joints, colitis, your colon, nephritis, your kidneys, sinusitis, sinuses, bursitis, your bursa. Almost all illnesses stem from the gut. The process of the digestive tract, lymph, bone marrow, and total immune system are largely affected by the condition of our liver and our gallbladder. So I want to really stress that. If there's congestion in your liver and gallbladder, you're going to have bloating and gas. You could have diabetes, elevated cholesterol levels, elevated liver enzymes on a blood test, diarrhea or constipation, abdominal cramping or pain, nausea, and fatigue. Now, lymphedema. When the liver is not processing your lymph properly, you're going to have swelling, such as this. Now, the lymph, when you have that kind of swelling, you want to start stroking your legs up toward your heart every day, several times a day, to move that lymph. Inflammation in the joints will come when the liver is not processing your lymph properly, and sinus congestion. So where are the liver fields located in the iris? In the right eye at 8 o'clock and 4 o'clock, and the left eye at 8 o'clock. And that's because the liver stretches across the abdomen, not just on one side. So the gallbladder is only on one side, on the right side. So here we have some signs of imbalance in the liver and gallbladder. A rust color around the center of the iris, and a lacuna or an opening in the liver area. Blue-gray sclera patches show that there is liver and gallbladder congestion. Also a really yellow sclera, that's jaundice, and it's showing that the bile is not being handled properly through the digestive tract, and it's going out through the body. Blobs of fat like this are called pinguecula, and that means the liver's not processing properly. Or brown stains in the sclera means the same. Now in a brown eye, when it's very close to the iris, it's normal, but when it's far out, that means liver gallbladder imbalance. And here we have normal brown pigmentation in a brown eye, but when it's out here, that means there's a liver imbalance. And we also see an opening in the liver areas here, here, and over here. And this is quite a bit of congestion in the liver. Also, when we see brown pigments anywhere in the iris, they're kind of like age spots on the skin, and that means liver imbalance. Or a pinguecula, a little bit of fat in the sclera, faulty fat metabolism. And when we see what we call a corneal arcus, which are lipids, and you can see this usually in older people, where their cholesterol is usually high, and these are lipids or fats in the cornea. So that's a liver sign, and then a brown pigment here in the liver area, or brown pigments anywhere in the iris. So this is a corneal arcus all the way around. It's lipids in the sclera that are showing us that the liver is not processing fats well. So the liver relates to anger or passion. Replacing anger with passion is a positive expression of liver energy. So we want to work on our thoughts and let go of anger, whether we need to take a jog or punch a punching bag and not take it out on others, but release it. Sometimes you can write it out or walk it out, and then do some positive things to lift your liver energy. Lift from anger to passion. The gallbladder is a hollow gray organ just underneath the liver here. It's very important. And it's 3 to 4 inches long and 2 inches wide. It receives bile from the liver, concentrates the bile for digestion, and stores the bile and sends it into the duodenum via the bile duct. So it's very important that we have that working properly. So the gallbladder is located right here. There's a gallbladder sign in the right iris. 80% of gallstones are made of hardened cholesterol and sticky bile. The other 20% of gallstones are made of calcium salts and bilirubin. When the gallbladder is full of stones, the liver becomes more blocked. And so what makes those sticky stones? And things that are sticky like sugar, gluten, cow's milk. Cow's milk is high in casein, and that sticks up the bile and hardens into little stones. Organic celery juice helps to dissolve gallstones. Hydrangea, gravel root, Chonka piedra are herbs that help to dissolve gallstones. Gallbladder relates to bitterness in life. Letting go of bitterness and finding things that bring gladness are helpful for the gallbladder. So what congests the liver and the lymph and blocks immunity? When you see a really coated tongue like that, you have a lot of congestion in your digestive tract and infection. So when people are stressed, they're sick, they're tired, that's going to cause acidity in the lymph system and weaken the immune system. All these toxins that go into the body, make sure that you're not using dangerous chemicals in your home, because all of that can get on your hands or your body, or you can breathe it in, and it causes a lot of problems in the liver and the lymph. Sugar, refined carbohydrates, including wheat and white rice, processed meats, meats and dairy products with hormones upset the liver. Xenoestrogens that you get from plastic water bottles, excessive meat eating, house cleaning chemicals, laundry chemicals. All of these can block up the little pathways that go through the liver so that it doesn't process the bile properly. Margarine, hydrogenated oils, preservatives, pesticides, heavy metals, excessive alcohol, drugs such as ibuprofen, aspirin, and all non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, pain medications, cigarette smoking, fluorine, and chlorine. A lot of people don't realize that fluorine also shuts down your thyroid gland. And by the way, the liver has to process all your hormones, all your fats, and including your thyroid hormones. So we're bombarded by toxins daily. So we want to do all that we can to cleanse our bodies. Viruses that can affect the liver, lymph, and immune system. Epstein-Barr causes mononucleosis, lymph node swelling, fever, and severe fatigue. The herpes 1 cold sores, genital sores, herpes zoster, chickenpox, shingles. The cytomegalovirus is worse in babies, which can cause fever, fatigue, joint, and muscle pain. So the immunity starts before the parents even conceive. They need to be eating healthy nutrients and have a home birth or a natural birth as much as possible. And they need to have colostrum. The baby needs colostrum that first few days of life, which is full of all the Ig's immunoglobulins. Yellow in color, low in fat. It has lots of antibodies. It's perfect nutrition for the newborn, and it helps the bowels start working and prevents jaundice. Colostrum is 100% safe and natural vaccination with large quantities of immunoglobulins, which protect the mucous membranes in the throat, lungs, and intestines. If you weren't nursed or your immune system is low, consider getting some natural organic colostrum and taking it. Avoid cow milk, especially if it's not organic, because it's full of antibiotics and it's full of hormones. And little girls are getting breast way too early nowadays. So I want to tell you about this little boy. He was one of my clients. And when he first came to me, he was 5 years old. And I started working with him in June 2006. He had debilitating constipation and chronic immune compromise. His little belly was swollen as if he had swallowed a watermelon. He had had all the childhood vaccinations. He was breastfed for 2 years, but the vaccinations upset his body. He had chronic pneumonia and bronchitis on a frequent basis due to severe constipation caused by a high fever that he got as a baby. So he was given lots and lots of antibiotics. The antibiotics killed all of the probiotics in his gut. He was taking lots of laxatives that had stopped working. He was only 43 pounds at 5 years old. He was very fatigued and he couldn't gain weight. He had a huge swollen belly when he first started working with me. This picture was taken a year after I had worked with him and his parents to help him get well. So in that first year, we worked on proper nutrition to help clean Michael's gut. But during that year, he had had a lot of pneumonia with antibiotics in 2005, 2004, the year before he came to see me. So they had just given him antibiotics the whole year. And lots of laxatives, glycolax, that had quit working. So his mom wrote me this letter. Enclosed, please find a first grade picture of Michael taken before we met you and a second grade picture taken just 3 months after a consultation with you. He suffered from severe constipation. He would not have a bowel movement for 2 weeks unless we used mineral oil or milk of magnesia. He had a very low energy level. He would not participate in sports or activities with other children. He was exhausted. His skin color was pale and always had a slight blue tinge color to his nails. He developed pneumonia at least 5 times each winter, where he would go on a round of antibiotics, liquid prednisone, and breathing treatments, a mix of albuterol, sulfate, and Pulmicort. He could not gain weight. He stayed at 43 pounds for over a year. So the reason I'm sharing this case study with you is to show how much that gut had to do with his immune system. It caused him to have subsequent pneumonia and lots of sicknesses, which they gave antibiotics for, which ended up weakening his gut even more, where all the immune system is located. After our initial consultation, things were not always smooth. We had many moments where we weren't sure if the supplements were working. But with your guidance and kindness, we were able to get Michael over the rough spots, and he's doing great. Michael now is active in hip hop, dance, karate, and everything electronic. He enjoys having a friend over after school. His skin color is more of a tan color. His sister made a comment that it looks like he has a tan in the middle of the winter. He has regular bowel movements morning and evening, although we must be very diligent in proper diet and supplements. He has gained 10 pounds. Michael did have 1 episode of pneumonia, but we were able to use natural remedies and did not have to use antibiotics or steroids. I feel this improvement in Michael's health would not have taken place without the knowledge, kindness, guidance, and love of Dr. Ellen Tart Jensen. With appreciation from Karen. So this was Michael a year after I had worked with him, and this was 2 years later. He finally had energy. So what do we do for Michael? Aloe vera juice, 3 ounces 3 times a day to help with his bowel movements. Flaxseed tea, 2 cups a day. And if you want to learn how to make it, you can look at my book, Health is Your Birthright. A multivitamin for children. And I like multivitamins that are made with whole foods. Vitamin C, 1 in the morning and 1 at noon. 2 teaspoons of chlorophyll in water 2 times a day to help build his iron and blood. Deglycerized licorice with slippery elm and marshmallow, which really soothes the intestinal tract. Chlorella tablets taken with flaxseed oil. That really helps to move that bowel along. Alfalfa tablets ground up into goat yogurt or applesauce. Alfalfa are like little brooms that sweep the colon clean. Digestive enzymes before the meals. Moducare with natural plant sterols to regulate immunity. Cascara with slippery elm and marshmallow root at night. 1 probiotic at night. And castor oil packs on the abdomen daily and abdominal massage each night and morning. When he was sick, we added colloidal silver, 250 parts per million. 1 dropper in a little water 3 times a day, and echinacea, 1 3 times a day, thyme oil, lemongrass, and eucalyptus oils in a diffuser. Thyme is like a natural antibiotic, and it really helps the sinuses. For breakfast, he had cooked millet or gluten-free oatmeal. A teaspoon of ground flax seeds or chia seeds really help move the bowels along. Wild blueberries or apples, and unsweetened almond milk. Snacks were pears, apples, or celery with raw almond butter or carrot sticks, or even watermelon. The lunch, a small salad, steamed vegetables, especially zucchini or yellow squash, chicken or fish, or vegetable soup with rice crackers. Absolutely no gluten and no fried foods. Celery, apple, carrot, beet, kale, juice. And that raw vegetable juice is amazing for the immune system. Dinner, steamed or stir-fried vegetables, rice or mashed potatoes, gluten-free noodles. Drink half your body weight in water during the day. May add lemon or apple juice. And lemon and apple really help the liver work. So then for Christmas, I got a letter from his mom. The moment I saw these 3 precious bears, I thought of you. You have brought so much hope to me and my family from the very first time we met you for Michael's consultation. Without your love, caring, and dedication, all hope would have been lost. Once we began your protocol for Michael and he began healing, I began to feel a sense of peace wrapping around us. Now that Michael is doing much better, I really feel a sense of joy. Thank you for all you have done. So we see these little bears. She felt hope, peace, and joy. So building immunity at Dr. Jensen's ranch, we had all of the natural fruits and vegetables, all organic. You want to use sunshine to build your immunity and chlorophyll. Wheatgrass juice is amazing. We want to use all the colors of a rainbow in your vegetables and your salads. You want to avoid gluten, dairy, eggs, soy, corn, peanuts, nightshades, and citrus for 14 days. Those can be inflammatory. Avoid sugar, artificial sweeteners, preservatives, trans fats, hydrogenated oils, table salts, alcohol, caffeine. Have your mercury fillings removed carefully. Eat a variety of foods that are whole and natural, and drink pure water. Reduce stress, do deep breathing and yoga. Exercise a half an hour a day and really move your body. Swing your arms to pump your lymph. Get 8 to 9 hours of sleep at night. Eat dinner by 6, go to bed by 10, eat breakfast by 7 to help the rhythm of your adrenals to readjust. Avoid sugar, which feeds bacteria and causes the bile to be sticky. Avoid refined carbs and gluten, processed meats, meats and dairy with hormones, foods with preservatives, water with fluorine and chlorine. Hydrogenated oils, deep fried foods, alcohol, cigarettes, all the drugs, preservatives, and genetically modified foods. Now you want to eat a lot of bitter greens. They clean the liver. Kale, spinach, parsley, chard, beet tops, collards, mustard greens, turnip greens, wheatgrass juice. Now dark cherries are high in anthocyanins. And if you have gout, they are a magic medicine. If you're anemic, they help as well. And beets also are wonderful for cleaning the liver. Olive oil and lemon or lime juice clean the liver and lymph. B vitamins, vitamin E, evening primrose oil, calcium, magnesium, enzymes, and wild yam. That kind of progesterone helps the liver process hormones. All of these things help the liver process your hormones. So if you're having hot flashes or menstrual cramps, it's likely caused because your liver is not getting these nutrients. Bupleurum is one of my favorite herbs for opening up the liver pathways. Burdock, chicory, milk thistle, Chinese rhubarb, turmeric is anti-inflammatory, and yellow dock. Alpha lipoic acid is most helpful. Glutathione helps the liver process the hormones well and cleans the liver. And selenium is to the liver like calcium is to the bones, very important. So these herbs all help the lymph system. Oregon grape, you can drink mullein tea and it will help you to cough up all kinds of mucus. Blue flag root, horse chestnut, marshmallow root helps to thin the mucus. Fennel, celery, lemons, limes, radishes, garlic, all of these are great for your lymph, liver, and immune system. Celery juice kills viruses and bacteria, so does fennel and radish, lemon, and garlic. Skin brushing is so important to move your lymph. Brush toward your heart. Jump on the trampoline, and this will move your lymph. Olive leaf is one of my favorite antiviral, antibacterials. Elderberries, great for the lungs. Lauricidin or monolaurin comes from the coconut, fights viruses. Cinchona bark is like a natural quinine that fights viruses. And garlic. So my suggestions right now to help the immune system are to take quercetin daily, 500 milligrams with 30 to 50 milligrams of zinc. Vitamin A, 10,000 units daily. Vitamin C, 2,000 units daily. D3, 5,000. Selenium, 100 to 200 micrograms. Colloidal silver, echinacea, golden seal propolis, grapefruit seed extract, and artemisia, all are great for fighting viruses. Raw apple cider vinegar is very high in potassium and malic acid, served on salads, or you can drink it in water. It helps dissolve gallstones. It also kills viruses, including Salmonella, E. coli, and Streptococcus germs. Sprouts are high in fiber that clean the lymph, liver, and bowels. Dandelion is amazing for cleaning the liver and balancing blood sugar, root and leaf. Bupleurum to clean the liver and lymph. Now get your juicer going and juice some cucumber, celery, green apple, half a lemon, half a lime. And that's a very potent immune booster and helps to open liver pathways. You can make a blended cool soup with all your mixed greens so that it's raw, full of living enzymes. Cucumber, celery, zucchini, yellow squash, cup of sprouts, avocado, lemon, olive oil, and I put Himalayan or Celtic salt in there and blend it up and just have that for dinner a couple of nights a week. Very cleansing for your lymph and your liver and good for your immune system. For breakfast, you can have a blended smoothie with greens, cucumber, celery, apple, red beet, lemon, lime, chia, and hemp seeds, and a scoop of plant-based protein, unsweetened almond milk. It's very creamy, very delicious. Then the beet juice cleanse for your liver. First week, drink 1 ounce of beet juice in the morning. The second week, 2 ounces. Third week, 3 ounces. Fourth week, 4 ounces. If you have that first thing in the morning before your other juice, that's really going to cleanse your liver. Lemon juice, wonderful for dissolving gallstones, hydrangea, chonka piedra. These are from my clients that have passed stones and saved their gallbladders. Now, I've put together a formula called Sun Food that does a lot of these things when you don't have time to get the vegetables, with chlorella and parsley that pulls out heavy metals, barley, grass, alfalfa to nourish the blood, lowers cholesterol. Beet helps to clean the liver and gallbladder and detox the bowels. Rose hips, vitamin C, and dulse assist the thyroid. Then my book, Health is Your Birthright, has all the recipes and meal plans, Dr. Jensen's cleansing book, my cleansing DVDs, this is for children, and my textbook, Techniques in Iris Analysis. So I've really enjoyed talking with you today about your immune system. It's very important to help your entire body. And Dr. Jensen always said, nature will heal when given the opportunity. Thank you.